Jeff Bezos created Amazon, a company that is worth $1.5 trillion. He has created hundreds of thousands of jobs and has a net worth of $185 billion. And out of the 7 billion people on planet Earth, he is the world's richest man. And whether or not you think that that is a goal worth achieving, I think you can learn a lot by breaking down the daily routines of the most successful people in the world. And he is the best in the world at making money. And so in this video, I'm gonna break down and share with you his daily routine. And then I'm gonna share with you my experience of trying out his daily routine for 30 days. And finally, I'm gonna share with you the biggest lesson I learned, which is, I think, the real reason why Jeff Bezos is the world's richest man. And this is the most important part of the video, so make sure you stick around till the end. And there are 4 concepts that Jeff Bezos uses to structure his daily routine. The first is he goes to bed early and he wakes up early. Now, one key thing about this is he actually wakes up naturally. He does not wake up with an alarm clock. And I think that's really important because when you are waking up with an alarm clock, like I used to do when I had a corporate job, you're probably not getting enough sleep and you're probably not well rested enough to make important decisions. And Jeff Bezos has to make a lot of important decisions. He is the CEO of Amazon and hundreds of thousands of people rely on him for their paycheck every week. The second principle he uses in structuring his day is to enjoy the morning. He said in an interview that
I like to putter in the morning. I get up early. I go to bed early. I get up early. I like to putter in the morning.
He has very relaxing mornings and he tends to take them very easy.
So I like to read the newspaper. I like to have coffee. I like to have breakfast with my kids before they go to school. So I have my kind of puttering time is very important to me.
Now, something I'm very fascinated with is nutrition and diet. And it doesn't seem like Jeff Bezos follows a particular diet. In fact, in the early days of Amazon,
for a couple of years, I had been eating for breakfast every morning a whole can of Pillsbury biscuits. So I would wake up in the morning, I would preheat the oven to 375, I would get out the baking sheet, I would crack open the Pillsbury biscuits, place them on there, and with butter. And I would eat the whole can.
Now, I couldn't find information on what he eats now that he's starting to eat healthier, but in my research, I did find that he made chocolate chip pancakes at one point and posted about it on Instagram. And at another point, there's a story about him going out to breakfast with a company he was thinking about acquiring and ordering octopus for breakfast. And I guess that's one of the things when you're a billionaire you can do. He explained why he ordered the octopus, saying it's something unique and different on the menu and he has to try it. The next principle is he holds his most important meetings from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. In fact, from the research I found, he doesn't even really start working until around 10 o'clock. And he explains this by calling these his high IQ meetings. This is when he thinks he has the most brain power, so he wants to hold his most important meetings during this time. In fact, he said that his job as CEO is to make a few critical, high-level decisions, and that's about it. And that's a really big mindset shift. Before I tried out his daily routine for 30 days, I was always the one trying to do everything in my businesses. But I've recently doubled the amount of employees I have. And so I've started to delegate a lot more of the tasks that I have. And instead of thinking that I have to do everything myself, I started thinking, can someone else do this for me? Which is obviously what Jeff Bezos does. He makes important decisions and lets other people actually do the work. And he has what he calls the 2 pizza rule.
And it's a simple idea, which is no team should be so large that it cannot be fed with just 2 pizzas.
And I think what's important about this is you don't want to have too many small meetings and you don't want to have really, really big meetings because people aren't really paying attention if it's too big of a meeting. And if it's too small of a meeting, it's probably not the best use of your time. So one thing I personally started doing with my business is instead of having meetings with all my individual virtual assistants, I started getting all my virtual assistants to join one call and we would all talk and communicate. He also famously only meets with his investors a few times a year, basically saying that this isn't the best use of his time. And the principle I took from this, and that I think you and I can both apply in our life, is to have less meetings, especially less meetings that don't make the business grow. The 4th principle that Jeff Bezos uses to structure his daily routine is no work after 5 p.m. Now, for me personally, this is one of the hardest rules to apply. But the reason he does this is he knows that his IQ and his brain power is just not as strong after 5 p.m.
And because by 5 p.m., I'm like, I can't think about that today. Let's try this again tomorrow at 10 a.m.
And he tries to just enjoy his life, reset and renew for the next day's work, which is really important. A lot of entrepreneurs, especially new entrepreneurs, just work around the clock and end up burning themselves out. The reason Jeff Bezos has been able to grow Amazon year after year for so long is he has this rest and renewal period. So I tried out Jeff Bezos' routine and put all these principles into place. And the first principle was going to bed early and waking up naturally. Now, something important about this is one of the biggest benefits of being an entrepreneur. Back when I had a corporate job and I had to wake up to an alarm every day, I would wake up groggy, my eyes would be red, I was tired. But the thing that's interesting is once you start working for yourself, you're actually excited to wake up in the morning. So this was relatively easy for me to do. The next principle was a little bit harder to implement, but it was one of the best things that I learned during this whole experiment, and that was to start enjoying the mornings. And Jeff Bezos said that he likes to putter around in the mornings, read a newspaper, hang out with his kids, have breakfast. But for me personally, what I like to do in the mornings is to wake up, to meditate, to do some exercise, go on a jog, maybe finish it up with yoga, and then have a nice, healthy breakfast. And I started taking the time to actually meditate, exercise, and do yoga all in the morning, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was really religious about making sure that I did that every day. And it completely changed the way that I felt, because in the past, sometimes I would wake up and do a bunch of work first thing in the morning. And I just found that my entire day was a little bit off. But when I wake up slowly and I have a nice relaxed morning, I just enjoy my life so much more. I also stopped doing meetings until later in the day, which again, I really enjoy because it gets rid of some of that stress and some of that cortisol when I first wake up, because I can focus on doing what I think is most important early in the mornings, and then nobody's relying on me to answer anything or do anything until later in the day. I started to figure out what work do I actually need to do versus what could be delegated to my interns or assistants. Now, I will mention the biggest lesson that I learned from this whole thing, the real reason why I think Jeff Bezos is so rich, in just a minute, but the last principle that was the hardest for me to implement was no work after 5 o'clock. And the problem for me personally is I really enjoy what I do. I love working on my business. I love making these YouTube videos. So a lot of times in the evening, I find myself starting to work, and at first when I start working, I really enjoy it. The problem is, once I start working, it's hard for me to stop. So I start off by really enjoying it, but then it almost turns into a compulsion. So this was something I really tried to implement, and what I found is the days that I successfully was able to implement this, the next day was much more productive. So this is something that I'm actively trying to implement in my daily routine, and trying to at 5 or 6 o'clock every day. After that time, absolutely no work, but it's definitely a work in progress. Now, there's some important lessons I learned throughout this whole process. The first is don't get caught up in things you can't control. A lot of people in life get obsessed on things and outcomes that they have no direct control on. Instead, if you can put your energy and focus and attention on things that you have the ability to control and the ability to change the outcome of, you're going to be a lot more successful. The second lesson is delayed reaction. If Jeff Bezos finds out that there's a problem with Amazon at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, he waits, he sleeps on it, and then the next day he makes a decision. A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in life in general, go around making decisions from a place of insecurity, from a place of adrenaline. And that's a huge mistake, especially if you're driving one of the world's largest companies. And finally, the last and most important lesson, and the reason why I personally think Jeff Bezos is the world's richest man, is the principle of if you want to make your dreams come true, you need to try to make as many other people's dreams come true. And if you look at the history of the world's biggest, most profitable companies, they're the companies that not only help people out, but they help people make money. So if you want to make a lot of money, the best way to do it, the most direct way to do it, is to help a lot of other people make a lot of money. So an example of this would be Apple. Apple creates phones and computers, which people are able to create online businesses from. They're able to make money and get their job and get their work done at an accelerated rate. Google makes a lot of their money off advertisements, which is basically a way that businesses go and advertise on Google and hopefully make a lot of money. So Google makes businesses a lot of money, thus Google becomes a multi-billion-dollar company. Amazon, the reason Amazon makes so much money is they're selling physical products online. In fact, Amazon has made more people millionaires than any other website in the world. And this is one of the best ways I know about to make money online right now. In fact, I recently launched a new product on Amazon, and I put the results in this video right here. So if you want to see the results of me actually launching a product and selling it on Amazon, and I show exactly how much money I make from it, Click on that video, watch that video, and I'll see you in the next video. And most importantly, remember to enjoy the journey and click on that video.